Alright, this is Unit 2. Unit 2 is only 2 things. So it's a very short unit, okay? So you will have a quiz on Thursday, September 9th. Let me check so I'm not lying to you. Yes. So you will have a quiz on September 9th. Your test will be on Monday, September 13th. There's only 2 things in this whole unit, okay? Everything has to do with linear lines. Linear. So no quadratics, no absolute values. We're doing all linear. So our equations, slope-intercept means I have to have a slope and I have to have a y-intercept. Most of you should know this. Y equals mx plus b. M is my slope, b is my y-intercept. Standard form is written as ax plus by equals c. A has to be positive. A has to be a whole number. You can have fractions, but not where the letter A is, okay? The point slope form is y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. Your point will be your y1 and x1, okay? So today we're going to go over this notes. It'll probably take almost all class periods. We're going to do a bunch of different examples. So graph a line using a point and a slope. This would be what your problem would look like right here. Graph a line that passes through the point -2, 3 with a slope of -4. So the first thing I'm going to do is plot my point, -2, +3. And then I'm going to use the slope to find my other points. So a slope of 4 means down 4 and right 1. Down 4 and right 1. Oops, I went right a lot, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. There we go. Sorry, guys. And then connect your points. Preferably with something straight, like a student ID, a driver's license, that I hope Caleb has since he drives to class late every day. We will identify our y-intercept. What is our y-intercept? -5. I like to write it as a 0.0, -5. And then we will write our equation because it's right here. I hope you read the rules, the directions. You had to write it in slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. So y equals, my slope was -4x, and then my y-intercept is -5. Questions so far? Alright, the next type of problem has like 3 different ways you can work it. So if you don't work it the exact same way I do, that's fine, as long as you show me the work to get to the final answer. Yes, ma'am?
For that equation, why did you put -5? Like, if the 0 were to be another number, how would you know which one to put?
The 0 can't be another number because where's your y-intercept located? On the y-axis, right? So it will always be 0, a number. Okay? Good question. All right. So second problem. Given the equation 3x minus 2y equals -6. First of all, what type of equation is that? A standard. That's a standard equation. You need to find the x and y intercepts then write the equation in slope-intercept form. So there are multiple ways to do this. Can anybody think of one way to get this started?
Move the X over to the other side.
Move the X over to the other side. That is honestly how I would do it, okay? So you can get your X and Y intercepts first. You can do that. Or you can get your slope-intercept form first. I think it's easiest to get slope-intercept form. So I'm going to write my equation 3x minus 2y equals negative 6. Slope-intercept has to say y equals. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So I have a negative 2y equals negative 3x minus 6. And then my last step would be to divide by negative 2. Individually, don't make one big fraction. That's not going to help us, okay? So I have y equals 3/2 x plus 3. That is an equation in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to write that as part of my answer. Y equals 3/2 x plus 3. From slope-intercept form, which answer do I also know? My y-intercept, which would be 0, 3, or just 3. I would take either answer. So X-intercept. What do I know about an X-intercept? Anything you know about an X-intercept? What's that 0? The y has to equal 0. So I know this is going to be something, 0. So here's what I think is the easiest thing to do. I'm going to go back to my standard equation. So to find the x-intercept, I'm going to go back to my standard equation, and everywhere I see a y, what would I just plug in there? 0. So it will easily eliminate this whole entire term. So I will have 3x equals negative 6. So what will x equal? Negative 2. So my x-intercept is a negative 2. So when I say there's more than one way to solve it, because if you look at my notes real quick, what I did is first I plugged in 0 for y to get an x-intercept. I plugged in 0 for x to get a y-intercept. And then you can use those points to find a slope. I think that is harder because it's just more steps. But there is even more than this to do. Okay? Questions so far? All right, let's talk about the different types of lines we're going to have. So a horizontal line, we're just going to draw a little sketch, of course, is just side to side. What is the slope of this line? 0. My slope is 0. And any horizontal line, the equation will say what? Y equals. If you don't know, it's what axis it cuts in half. Okay? So if I have my x and y axis here, when I draw a horizontal line, it cuts the y axis in half. So it has to start with y equals. Okay? A vertical line is up and down. What is the slope of a vertical line? It is not 0. It's undefined. Okay, undefined. Here's how I remember, and it's crazy, but it works. Whenever I draw a vertical line, it's like I'm starting to draw the letter U for undefined. Okay, so a vertical line gives me a slope that's undefined. If I have a vertical line, what will my equation look like? X equals a number. Very good. Parallel lines are lines that never touch. They never cross. That's a horrible definition. What do I know about the slope of parallel lines? So they have the same slope. they have to have a different y-intercept. If they don't, then you have just the same line. Okay? If you would like to write some examples down, y equals 3x plus 4. What could be a line that is parallel to that? Y equals 3x plus 1. Y equals 3x minus 4. Y equals 3x. Is that parallel to it? Yes. Okay. So anything works as long as it's the same slope.
Could it be a bigger y-intercept?
Yes, the y-intercept doesn't matter as long as it has the exact same slope. Okay? Perpendicular lines. What do you know about perpendicular lines? They intersect at a 90-degree angle. So if I have a diagonal, two diagonals, it has to make a 90-degree angle. Okay? What do I know about that slope? It's not inverse. It's the reciprocal, but it's the opposite, or I like to say negative. Okay? So the slope has to be the negative reciprocal. What is a reciprocal? Don't say opposite, because that's not true. Reciprocal is the flipped fraction. So numerator and denominator flip areas or flip spaces. So if I have y equals 3/2 x plus 4, the negative reciprocal would be negative 2/3 x. And then, of course, a y-intercept. Doesn't matter. It would probably be different. Okay? Thank you. Go ahead, Gabby. Questions about these? Because we're going to go to the next page and it's going to ask us questions where it gives us information and we have to write it in different types. Yes, ma'am. Because the slope is the negative reciprocal. Hey, I also have a question real quick. Just pay attention and write, or write, whatever. If I have a negative 2x minus 1, what would the negative reciprocal be? A positive 1/2. Okay, so just make sure. If you need to write this over 1, then do it, so we don't make silly mistakes. Okay? All right, here we go. Second page. We got 4 problems to work out together. I'm going to give you the biggest hint ever. Almost every single problem can be started using the point slope. Almost. Like that would be a huge place. Like, I don't know how to start this problem. Let's start with point slope. Okay? Take about 30 seconds and let's write the equations up above here. So write those equations down. Your slope-intercept, what's my equation? Y equals mx plus b. You should know that one for sure. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. Can a be negative? Can a be a fraction? No. Point slope is the long one. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. It's also the trickiest, okay? So let's start here. M equals 3, and it goes through a point negative 2, 6. What 2 pieces of information did I give you? A slope and a point. Ooh, so which one are we going to start at? Point slope, okay? So y minus y1. Y'all, all that means is opposite. So watch how I read this. Y opposite y1. This y never changes. Okay, so this y and this x always have to be and a y and an x. Okay, they have to. You can't change those letters. Y1 and x1 come from my point. So if I say opposite of y, so if y is 6, then I have a minus 6 equals my slope. What was my slope? 3, parentheses, x, opposite the x. So the opposite of negative 2 is my positive 2. That would be my answer. It's an equation in point slope form. Okay? Now, we are going to use this equation to help us get the other two pieces of information. So, I'm going to rewrite it over here. I'm going to go slope-intercept. Y minus 6 equals 3, x plus 2. So slope-intercept's getting y by itself. So all we're doing is solving for y. So y minus 6 equals 3x plus 6. All I did is distribute. And now I'm going to get y by itself. So I'm going to add the 6 to both sides. So y equals 3x plus 12. If I were to then ask you, what's your slope? It better be the same as what I started with. It can't be different. What's your y-intercept? 12. Very good. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. I'm going to take my slope-intercept and move things around. Manipulate. That was the word I was thinking of. There we go. You have two choices. I can move my x to the left, or I can move my y to the right. Either one, it doesn't matter, okay? I moved my x to the left and got negative 3x plus y equals 12. But that's a bad answer because I can't have a negative. So I would then have to divide by negative 1, which would give me a 3x minus y equals negative 12. Questions on number 1? Okay, let's go to number 2 then. Something passes through the points negative 4, 12, and negative 2, negative 4. Again, I'm telling you, the easiest one to start with is point slope, okay? I need a point and I need a slope. Do I have a point? Yes. Do I have a slope? But I can figure it out, right? Okay. So let's figure out our slope first. How do I figure out slope? It doesn't matter 2 or 1 or 3 or 7. I don't care what number you use first, okay? What matters is whatever point I use first in y, I have to use that same point for x first, okay? So y over x. So I'm going to say negative 4 minus 12 because that's y minus y. And if I started with negative 4, my x has to start with negative 2. So negative 2 minus a negative 4. Negative 4 minus 12 is negative 16 over, what's a minus a negative? Positive. So what's negative 2 plus 4? 2. So what will my slope be?
8.
Negative 8. Okay. So my slope will be negative 8. Question?
Why does it stay negative on top if they're both negative?
Because that's negative 4 minus 12. You owe $4 and you owe $12. So I still owe $16. It's like adding together. Okay? Any other questions? How did these bottoms right here turn positive? Because it's minus a negative. What does minus a negative mean?
Because it's like
Positive.
You owe your friend $2, but then they owe you $4, and then they just gave you $2.
Sure. Yes. Yes. All right, now, when I write in point slope, does it matter which point I use? No. Okay, it doesn't matter which point you use. So you and your neighbor might have different answers, but the slope has to be the same. So it doesn't matter which point you use. Y minus, I'm going to use this first point. This is the one I'm going to use, okay? Y minus 12 equals my slope, which was negative 8, parentheses, x, but it's not minus 4. Why is it not minus 4? It's opposite. It's plus 4. The opposite of what I have, so plus 4. So there is my equation in point slope form. Okay? I'm going to push pause on the camera, and I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to see if you can get your slope-intercept and your standard form for me. So check your answers real quick. Y equals negative 8x minus 20. You should have distributed combined terms. And then 8x plus y equals negative 20. I can keep it because my 8x is positive. Okay? All right, passes through the point 12, 0 and is parallel. What does parallel tell me? Same slope. So, again, easiest thing to do, write the point slope. What will my slope be? Negative 1/2, but I'm using a different point. See if you can get that written down. Just look up to check your answers if you would like. So I'm using the same slope. Once you have a point slope, then go to your slope-intercept. And then standard form. There's something about my standard form I have to change. In my standard form, what's the ugly part? The fraction. So how do I get rid of the fraction? You're going to multiply everything by the denominator. Every single thing. So then it'll just say x plus 2y equals 12. Okay? In the last one, it asks you to have perpendicular. What do you know about your perpendicular slope? Negative and reciprocal. Okay? So instead of a negative 2x, what will my new slope be? A positive 1/2. So see if you can get your 3 equations for me. I'm telling you, I would always start at point slope. Well, what? If you get those same answers I have, then you're welcome to turn the page and start working. Know what I'm doing.
So what part can't be a
I was prepared. Why did I change what? Because perpendicular means you have to have the negative and the reciprocal. So if this is a negative 2 over 1, the opposite or the negative would be a positive, and then instead of 2 over 1 would be 1 over 2. Okay? You don't have the same slope, which means it's parallel. Isn't it? What do you think? I moved my y to the other side. But yes, same thing. But now if you do this, you're not multiplying by a positive 2. What should you multiply by? Yes. Where did I get 1/2 from? Okay, so here, let's talk real quick, because a few people have asked. Where did I get 1/2 from? My original slope was a -2/1, correct? We agree with that? A reciprocal or a perpendicular means I need the negative, so the opposite, so it's no longer negative, it's now a positive. And instead of 2/1, I flip it, so it is now 1/2. Okay? Does that help? Any other questions? All right, if you will turn the page and keep working, and then we're going to work on this again tomorrow, so we don't have to get it all finished today, okay?